Hello everyone, welcome back. We're continuing our video right where we left off. Let's dive straight into the next chapter and see how the events unfold. Their goal was to cut off air supply routes from the United States to Australia. On August 7, 1942, a large American fleet appeared off the Solomon Islands. Before the landing began, the island's shores were heavily bombarded from sea and air. After the bombardment, U.S. Marines landed on Guadalcanal and the surrounding islands. The next day, after a series of skirmishes, the Marines captured the partially completed airstrip. This marked the beginning of a 6-month Japanese resistance by air, land, and sea. The Battle of Guadalcanal became one of the bloodiest conflicts of World War II. By November, American forces had gained control of the island and were approximately 4,800 kilometers from the Japanese mainland. As a result of the Guadalcanal Campaign, the Japanese evacuated 11,000 of their 36,000 troops from the island. The remaining troops were all lost, along with 38 ships and 683 aircraft. The United States lost 7,000 of its 60,000 troops, as well as 29 ships and 653 aircraft. Next came Saipan Island, which was geographically very important. If the United States captured this island, its bombers could easily strike the Japanese mainland. Before the landing, the island was heavily bombarded by 15 warships, with approximately 165,000 shells hitting the island. The landing began on the morning of June 15, 1944, at 7 o'clock. By 9 o'clock, 8,000 U.S. Marines had landed on the beaches. The Japanese Navy believed it could support Saipan and attack the U.S. Navy, but this resulted in a disaster. 13 warships and hundreds of aircraft were lost before reaching Saipan. Thus, all hope of reinforcement and supply for Saipan was eliminated. Despite harsh and desperate conditions, Japanese soldiers were determined to fight to the end. By July 6th, the Japanese had no remaining place to retreat. Refusing to surrender, they launched a final charge, marking the largest bayonet attack in the Pacific Theater. Nearly all Japanese soldiers were killed. By July 9th, the battle was over. The remaining General Sato and his commanders committed suicide, seeing surrender as dishonorable. 29,000 Japanese soldiers died in this battle, while American losses were 3,000 dead and 10,000 wounded. By February 1945, American forces had gathered on an island just 1,200 kilometers from the Japanese mainland, Iwo Jima. Iwo Jima was a volcanic island with an area of 21 square kilometers. It had 2 airfields vital for the invasion of the Japanese mainland. The iconic World War I photo of American soldiers raising their flag on a hill was taken during this battle. American forces, with naval and air superiority, captured the island, inflicting heavy losses on the Japanese. Japan had stationed 21,000 troops on the small island and dug tunnels and caves. However, none of these defenses were effective against American naval forces, and only 200 of the 21,000 Japanese soldiers were captured. The rest were killed. American losses on the island included 1 warship and 7,000 soldiers. The final stage of the Pacific War was the landing on the Okinawa Islands in 1945. The Battle of Okinawa was also the largest land battle in Japan, where civilians were killed, and the last major conflict between the U.S. and Japan. Naval operations began on March 18, 1945, and the land battle started on April 1 with the American landing operation. American forces landed at Yontan and Kadena airfields on April 1, 1945. Facing the rapidly advancing American army, the Japanese gradually retreated, and 80% of the island was captured in just 15 days. The Japanese Air Force, as a last resort, attacked the surrounding American ships with the remaining planes in kamikaze dives. Despite suffering heavy losses, the naval forces played a key role in the victory and captured strategic points such as Shuri Castle. On June 23, 1945, Japanese resistance was exhausted, ending the operation. The aim of the operation was to secure air and logistical bases required to attack the Japanese mainland, and it was successfully achieved. Of the 100,000 Japanese soldiers on the island, 75,000 were killed, and 150,000 civilians lost their lives. Additionally, American losses, including casualties, totaled 35,000. With this battle, the American victory in the Pacific Theater was secured. However, despite retreating to their own islands, the Japanese continued to resist under intense strategic bombing. U.S. President Truman announced the decision to use the atomic bomb to end the war in the Pacific as soon as possible. Subsequently, Hiroshima was bombed on August 6, 1945, and Nagasaki on August 9, 1945. Following this, Japan unconditionally surrendered on August 14, 1945. With this video, the World War II series has come to an end. See you in the next video. Goodbye for now.